Okay, today's daf yomi is Nazir daf nun test. We're going to start on nun ches sama bays around 8 lines from the bottom. Now the Gemara says, Amar Rav, that Rav made a teaching, make a adam kol gufo betar, a person is allowed to shave or cut with a razor all the hair off of their body. And it's not going to be a concern of removing the hair of a man, cutting the hair in a similar manner to the way a woman cuts it. So the Gemara says, but we have a contradictory source. And it states, Hamavir beis hashechi beis ha'erva, if somebody removes the hair from the shechi or from the erva, the person removes the underarm hair or the genitalia hair, they're going to get lashes. The man will get lashes because he's acting like a woman does. That's what a woman does. A woman removes that type of body hair. So why does Rav say it's permitted? So the Gemara says, Havatar haba misparayim. Well, when Rav allows it, it's with a scissor. And when the Bryce says it's not allowed, that's with a razor. So the Gemara says, well, Rav nami b'teir kamar. But Rav says you can remove it with a razor. Gemara says ke'ein tar, it's something like a razor, not with an actual razor. So Amar B'chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan Tanamavir beis hashechi beis ha'erva loke. Rabbi B'chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that if you remove the beis hashechi hair, you're going to get lashes. Gemara says, so we see from here it contradicts Rav. Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, you get lashes. So Meisvei Havara say our enemy divrei Torah only do very so from. So the Gemara says, why are you saying getting lashes? But if the Bryce says it's only rabbinic. So the Gemara says, my loka nami tika amar midrabanan. When it says you get lashes, it means rabbinically you get the lashes. Now on the top of 59a, the Gemara says, Ika da amri, alternatively, Amar B'chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amavir beis hashechi, that somebody who removes their underarm hair or beis ha'erva and then genitalia hair, loka mishum, it's going to get lashes. And here it cites the reason, yobash gever simlas isha, a man is not allowed to dress like a woman. So meisvei, so the Gemara says, we'll give a contradictory source. Havara say our enemy divrei Torah only divrei sofrim. Why do you say you get lashes? We have a brisa that says that it's not biblical, it's rabbinic. So the Gemara says, well, Rabbi Yochanan, Huda Amar Ki Tana. Rabbi Yochanan has a different Tana. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa, Mavir beis hashechi beis ha'erva, hareza over mishum yobash gever samos isha. So he says that the other Tana is that he says he has another Brisa which says that if you remove this type of hair, you're in violation of the prohibition of a man not dressing like a woman. The Tanakama and the earlier Brisa which says that the Isur is only rabbinic. So what's their source? What do they say? What do they do with this prohibition of a man should not dress like a woman? The earlier Brisa uses it and consistent with the following Brisa. Well, yeah, it says that the pasuk says that a man is not allowed to, that a woman is not allowed to wear a man's garments. My Tamalomar. What's it coming to teach us? If it's to tell us that a woman cannot dress like a man cannot dress like a woman. It already states in the Brisa, in the pasuk toevahi. It's going to state in the pasuk it's abomination. Man kan toeva, and this is not really abominable. What's the abomination that this woman or man is dressing like a woman or a man? Why is that an abomination? So there's no real abomination with this act. So why does the pasuk say that it's prohibited? So Ella, what it means is that it means that a man cannot dress like a woman. V'yeshev bein hanashim. A man cannot dress like a woman. V'yeshev bein hanashim, so that he could sit amongst the women in order to have pritus, in order to have lewd behavior. And that's what's being prohibited. V'isha simlas ish, and a woman can't dress like a man. V'teshev bein hanashim. So that, and then go and dress amongst the men, because that's nudity. And Belazar and Yaakov Omer, In this context, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov taught, how do we know that a woman should not dress, that a woman should not go to battle wearing the garments of wearing the weapons? A woman should not go into battle wearing weapons. So a woman cannot wear weapons when she goes into battle. That's learned out from the fact that a woman is not allowed to dress like a man. What do we learn out from the pasuk? That a man is not allowed to dress like a woman, and he's not allowed to wear jewelry that a woman typically wears. Rav Nachman taught by Nazir mutter. Rav Nachman taught actually by Nazir, this would be permitted, meaning to say that which we say that a man is not allowed to shave the underarm hair and the genitalia hair, that's because he's trying to look like a woman. But in this case, where he's a Nazir already, so he's shaving off all the hair off his body, and then it will be permitted because he already showed that he doesn't care about these things, and so that he's not doing it for beauty purposes, and so therefore it'll be permitted for Nazir to shave off the underarm hair and the genitalia hair. And the Gemara says, but the law is not like Rav Nachman. Even a Nazir cannot shave off this hair. Amalei Rabbanan Rav Shimon bar Abba. So Rabbanan said to Rav Shimon bar Abba, Chazina le Rabbi Yochanan. We saw Rabbi Yochanan the Leisley, but we said, what do you mean that you're not allowed to shave your underarm hair? We saw Rabbi Yochanan himself. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said that you get lashes for cutting off your underarm hair. But we saw that Rabbi Yochanan has no underarm hair. So how's that possible? So Gemara says, Amaron machmas zikena nashru. No, the hair fell out from his underarms as he got older. He didn't shave it, it fell out as he got older. This is the second time in the last 3 days that we saw that they gave a ruling from a rabbi, and then he said, but it's not true with respect to you. Remember, we saw it 2 days ago with, he said, Rav Ada bar Abba, he said, who cuts your children's hair? And he said, Chia cuts it. He said, Chova, my wife cuts it. So remember, we saw that. He said, so he says this on Zion. He said on Zion that Rafuna said that if you cut the hair of a katan, you're chayiv. And Rav Ada bar Abba said, who cuts your children's hair? He said, well, that my wife does. So then the Gemara says, Ahu this chayev negida kamed Rabbi Ami. There was a person who was liable for lashes in front of Rabbi Ami. So then they uncovered his underarm hair. So I mean to say, they were giving him lashes, they took off his shirt. And when taking off his shirt, they saw that he had underarm hair. So Chazia de la Megalech. So they uncovered his underarms and they saw that he actually didn't shave his hair. So they saw he was at least keeping that halacha. Amar Hon Rabbi Ami, Shivkua Dain min Chavrayahu. Leave him alone, he's one of us. Meaning to say, there must have been people there, the idolaters must have shaved their underarm hair. And from the fact that he didn't do it, it shows he's one of us. But it also shows me there's a very low bar to say somebody's a tzaddik. Meaning to say all he has to have is underarm hair, and they say leave him alone, don't give him the lashes. It's a pretty low bar. Just saying he has underarm hair means always look for the good. Is this person a good person? Say something good about him. Well, he has his underarm hair. So Rabbi asked the question from Rabbi Chia, Ma'ul Galeach. Amarle Aser, he said, Ma'ul Galeach. So he said to him, is a person allowed to shave the hair of his underarms and his, can you shave, the way the Mefarish explains it, is can you shave the underarm hair with a scissor? That was his question. That's how the Mefarish understands it. But so, can you shave these Beis HaShachim, Beis HaErva with a scissor, according to the Mefarish? But the Tosfos has a version of with a razor. So it's a different question. It's not clear which it is. Some say the question is about a scissor. Some say the question is, can you do it with a razor? I'm really awesome, but he says it's prohibited. kagadol. But he says, but if I don't shave it, it's going to grow big and it's going to annoy me. It's going to be annoying. Amrway bar pachti. He says, son of Torah scholars, zman yeshlo. So he says bar pachti, meaning to say, my son of a Torah scholar, don't think that the hair is going to grow forever under your arms or your genitalia. It stops growing. You don't have to cut it. Don't worry. It stops growing. Zman yeshlo. And indeed, kol zman shu godel no share. As long as it gets longer, it also falls out. And so therefore, a person doesn't need to, the only reason why a person cuts it is to for cosmetic reasons, and it's not allowed. Can you basically scratch it out with your fingernail? Can you scratch out this hair? I'm really usher, not allowed to. The big dough mahu. Can you rub it out with your clothing? I'm my mutter. He says, well, that's allowed to do. You could do it with your clothing. Amar igad amri alternative bamine bitfila the big dough. Can you rub your hair when you pray with your clothing? So he says, I'm really usher. He says that's not allowed. But the law is not like him. Actually, when you pray, you have to scratch your hair. The custom is that you don't scratch your hair directly with your hand, but you scratch with your kippah. Of course, that's the type of things that when you get to that, if that's what they're flogging us in heaven, then you're going to be, that they're almost done. So talking about shaving your hair during Svirah, that the people can be lenient about if you have, there are multiple reasons to be lenient during Svirah. If you're on a shidduch date, if you're for a job interview. So these are reasons why if you need to cut your hair during Svirah, it's okay. If you need to shave your beard, for sure that's okay under those circumstances. So says the Mishnah, Meis Echad Mehen. So we had done in the previous Mishnah, or on the top of Nun Testament page, the previous Mishnah had said that if there were two Nazirites and one of them was Tameh and we don't know who it was, so then we said that they had to go through this process of both of them bringing the potential korban. We had said on Nun Zayin and Aleph, we had said this process of this Mishnah. Remember, if you don't remember, go back just for a little bit. It says, two Nazirim, and one of them said, I saw one of you become Tamei, and I don't know which one. So then they both get a haircut and bring the korban Tumah and korban Tahara. So, and he says, if I was one who was Tamei, it's my korban Tumah. If I was one who was Tahara, it's yours. And they cut their hair after 30 days, and then they bring their korban Tahara. So basically, they both have to observe the stringencies. So now we'll come back to our Mishnah. Meis Echa Mehem. Let's say one of the two Nazirim, who was there was a suffix if he was tummy or not, and so now the one who's remaining can't bring by himself all these karbanos, because some of them were being brought by a doubt. And even if he wants to bring them as a voluntary offering, you can't do that because they have a chatas amongst them and an asham, and those can't be brought voluntarily. And it'll be in violation of the prohibition of bringing chulin into the azara. So what should he do? So Amar Rabbi Yoshua, Yivakesh Echad min hashuk. He has to find somebody from the marketplace. Sheyidor Kenegdo. And this person has to agree to be a Nazir. Sheyidor Kenegdo ben Nazir. Omer, and he says, Im Tamei Ayisi, he says, if I was Tamei, Harayatan Nazir Miyad, you're a Nazir immediately. Vim Tar Ayisi, but if I was Tar, Harayatan Nazir Achar Shloshim Yom, then you're going to be a Nazir only after 30 days. And then Sovrim Shloshim, and they count 30 days, and Mivin Korban Tumah. And then they bring the three korbanos, the olah, the chatas, and the asham, which you bring korban tumah, and you also bring the korban tahara, which is the olah, the chatas, and the shlamim. Omer mani wa tamei, and he says, if I was the one who was tamei, korban tumah shali, then this is my korban tumah, the korban tahara shalcha, and this is your korban tahara. B'mani wa tahara, if I was a tahara, korban tahara shali, and these are my korbanos taharas, the korban tumah b'safek, and then the korban tumah will be brought as a doubt, meaning to say, since we're not sure. The Tosam Iri write the olah of the oath is brought on the stipulation that it might be an adava, and the chatas oath can be brought, the chatas of the siddur of bringing the bird can be brought as suffix, but it can't be eaten and it's buried. And the asham we'll see is not for the tumah won't be brought with these circumstances, but you could move on just with one korban, okay? And then from shloshim yom, then you count another 30 days. Mevin korban tahara, and then after you count another 30 days, you bring the korban tahara. V'omer imaniya tamei, and the person says, if I was the one who was tamei, korban tuma shali, that the korban tuma that I brought after the 30 days was mine. The korban tahara shachan was your korban tahara. V'zeh korban taharasi, and now this is my korban. That's tahara. The maniwa tahara, and if I was the one who was tahor, korban tahara shali, that was my korban tahara. Korban tuma b'safek, and the korban tuma was brought out of a safek, meaning say it was brought only from a safek, which you're allowed to do for the chatas of. V'zeu korban taharas, and this is your korban. So that's what he says. So they count 30 days, and he brings the korban tahara, and he says, if I was one who was tamei, that was my korban tuma, and this is your tahara. But if I was one who was tahar, this was my korban tahara was the beginning, and this is your korban tahara. So basically, that way all the offerings are brought. So Amar Ben Zoma, Ben Zoma says to Rabbi Yeshua, Mi shomelo sheyidor keneged Nazir. Who's going to agree to be such type of Nazir, that he's going to have to do two Naziris, and one of them is for sure not actual, and he's going to put himself into this distress for free, for nothing. Remember, Ben Zoma is a controversial figure in the Talmud. He went into the Pardes, and he was the one who became insane. He wasn't able to handle it. He also, there's a lot of very interesting associations with Ben Zoma in the Talmud. And he says, nobody would do this. Ella, so what does Ben Zoma say you do? Maybe chatasa'ov v'oas behema. So what should the Nazir do? The Nazir, this is what the Nazir should do. The Nazir that's still alive, obviously, the one who's still alive. What he should do, at the end of 30 days, he should bring a chatos ha'of, which is one of the Naziris that you could bring out of a suffix. And he also brings an oas behema as a voluntary offering. And that's one of the ones that you bring for your Nazir's tahara. So you bring one of the animals from your tumah, that's the chatos ha'of, and one of the animals from your tahara, that's the oas behema. And you say, Im tamei ayisi, say if I was tamei hachatas michalvasi, then the bird offering fulfills my obligation. Va'ola nidava, and this ola is a voluntary offering. Im Torah ayisi, but if I was Torah the whole time, ha'ola michalvasi, then the ola fulfills my obligation. V'chatas misafek, and the chatas will be brought out of a suffix, just the oath. The sofer shloshim yom, and then he counts another 30 days. Maybe korban tahara, and then he brings the korban tahara, meaning to say he brings the chatas and the shlomim, which he has to do, the female sheep and the ram. And he says, if I was tamei, ha'ola rishona nidava, vizu, and he said the first all I brought was a voluntary offering, and this one is now a chova, obligatory. Vim Torah yisi, and if I was Torah, ha'ola rishona chova, then my first ola was obligatory, and vizo, and this ola that I'm bringing now is nidava, is voluntary. Vizu shar karbani, and this female sheep and the ram are the shlomim. They're the extra animals I need to bring for my karbanos tahara. Amar Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said, I don't like this. Then what's going to happen is, as a result of this, he's bringing his karbanos in pieces, because at the end of the first time he brought the olah, whereas the chatas and the shlomim he's only bringing at the end of the second nazirus. And so they're not next to each other. And so I don't like this idea. But nevertheless, the Chacham agreed with Ben Zoma, even though Rabbi Yeshua challenged it. They said, big deal. There's no real problem with bringing your korban in pieces. And so therefore, and furthermore, they didn't think they'd find somebody who would be willing to accept his Nazirah so that his other friend wouldn't be committing a sin. So the Gemara says, what's the big deal if you bring your korbanos halfway? Rabbi Yeshua says you bring your korbanos halfway. I'm Rabbi Huda Shmuel. There is no big deal. Rabbi Yeshua only said this. So I'm Rabbi Yeshua. He only said it to sharpen the students. There is really no big deal. I'm Rav Nachman. Ma'ali Avid Rabbi Yeshua Lidake. So the Gemara says, and this is, some say that this is brought b'derech tzchos, meaning to say it's like humorous. Another claim against Rabbi Yeshua. What would Rabbi Yeshua do with Dake to the inner parts of the sacrificing that are brought at the end of the Naziris? The low literal, because we don't want them to spoil. Meaning to say that according to Rabbi Yeshua, that that he says that you can bring them on a stipulation. So now after you slaughter the sacrifice, you're doing it before the waving and the burning. So he needs to shave his hair both times out of a suffix because he doesn't know from which one he left his Naziris. And so then he has to wait before waving it. And so therefore the karbanos will end up spoiling. So he doesn't like that. Okay. Okay, there's a lot of discussion on that point. Okay, fine. Now our Mishnah says Nazir Shaya Tame B'Safek. So now, let's say we have a Nazir that on the first day of Naziris, there was a doubt that he became a Nazir from two possibilities. One was Shaya Tame B'Safek. Maybe that day he became Tame by touching a dead body. And if indeed he became Tame, he would require two haircuts, one after day 3 and day 7. And also at the end of Naziris. And also, the other reason why he's Tameh is Mucha Pesafek. He was perhaps a Mitzorah, that he was perhaps a Mitzorah, because like we had before. And so therefore, like we saw this earlier, he has to wait for the two possibilities. He can only eat the kachim after 60 days. We do this earlier. And everything is times 4. You have to account for the 4 possibilities. So you could really only drink the wine and eat and become tummy for the dead after 120 days. Mishnah explains hanega, because the cutting the hair after he became cured from his tzaras, docha, it overrides tiglachas hanazir. It overrides the prohibition of a nazir covering his hair. Only bizman shu vadai, only when he's certainly in mitzorah. Or bizman shu safek ein docha, but when he's just a doubt whether he's mitzorah, it's not going to override it. Okay, we're going to stop here, and God willing, we'll pick up this in the morning. We're going to do the daf tomorrow morning, not at 6:30, but God willing.